Is Liberty University the latest Christian university to go woke? Signs point to another Christian casualty in the war of survival for religious education. I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. As you can see, I'm sporting my glorious Freedom Tumbler that supports this show. Available to all Patriot Club members. Just visit patriotclub.us. We'll send you one of these, and we'll give a great big middle finger to Facebook and to YouTube and to all the left-wing sites that have demonetized our show. All right, coming up, we have international correspondent Alex Newman talking about Liberty University and how many Christian colleges are abandoning their biblical values to appease the woke left. But first, we turn it over to Katie with a look at the dwindling health of our republic.
Well, team, we made it to 150 shows of Healthy Republic, and for that very special number, why not just mock me? And of course, I mean more mocking than we usually do. So it's time to hear from you and just a handful of the hateful comments you not so kindly have sent me. All right, I have my ice cream and my fellow nerds alongside me for emotional support as you watch me be verbally assaulted by social media keyboardists, which is an official job now. You get paid in mom's meals and have a basement office. Super sweet.
Don't be jealous that I've been chatting online with babes all day.
But before we get to my pain and suffering, I want to thank all of you for coming along with me all of these episodes, or even just this one, which may be your first you clicked on because you just wanted to see someone get insulted. Whatever the reason, thank you. And if you want to continue to support me, please consider joining our Patriot Club. Yes, this is where I pander for your support. For a one-time $99 donation, you can keep me fueled with ice cream, candy, and caffeine. And that caffeine will be housed in this sweet, sweet vessel of patriotism, because freedom never tasted so good. Just visit patriotclub.us to sign up today. That's patriotclub.us. And as a bonus, there will be special Patriot Club member benefits in the future. Let's just say the cool kids will be there, so you should be a cool kid too. Now on to insulting me, because that's what you're here for.
Worst day of my life? What do you think?
Let's begin with John, who probably was the most polite of commenters who don't like me. He at least said, please, stop ripping off other generation songs to fit your narrow narrative. John, I get that every generation blames the one before, and all their frustrations come beating on your door. It's just how it goes in the living years. Like John, Deanna seems to be an ageist, but I get confused about this age critique because Deanna says I'm one of those okay boomers, and that the millennials are a larger voting bloc than even you cynical boomers, and they're going to vote in 2020. I'm a millennial. After looking at Deanna's Facebook profile, I realized she probably is a millennial too, because there was no content. There were only memes and photos of cats. There are those who struggle to insult me properly because, grammar, it's just terrible. Like Barry. What a load is BS this women spews get a brain dear, LOL. Lorene says, who really cares you're a moron, shut the hell up, you talk to fam much. And then there's Cassie's comment. That was some hater speech with the Planned Parenthood. They do a lot more than abortions. In fact, some locations don't do them at all. What happened to freedom you all shout about when it's convenient, not cool to put a person down when they are already low? People in good places don't usually have abortions when you start with hate speech, especially when you're trying to state a view to people who don't agree with you. It makes it harder for me to take you seriously. That's seriously what she wrote. But I'm not so worried about Cassie's grammar as I am in her defense of Planned Parenthood and support for murdering innocent babies.
Bless her heart.
And here's a doozy from my new friend, Ken. F you, Katie. You're nothing but a Russian hack. Your boy Donald Duck gonna lose big November 3rd. Not you or Putin will be able to help him this time. Then there were a few comments that are weak sauce insults, and I expect better. Larry says the show is hosted by Katie Stupid Petricks. David Letterman used to have those. Then Keith says, I'm Katie Petrick, and I am a bigot. Anytime I read these types of insults, I just have to think to myself.
You talking to me? Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
Or you have Mark. I couldn't have fast-forwarded more in a moment after watching your video. Dear Mark, do you see that X in the upper right-hand corner of your computer screen? Push that button. The image of me and everything else will go away. Then have a nice day. It's really not that complicated. There are a good many insults that are simply linking me to President Trump. Why? Because everything is about Trump. I may not have mentioned Trump once in an entire video, and yet he who must not be named is blasted all over the comment section. Exhibit A. Thailand says, "You sound like a stupid Trump lover." That comment was on a video about AOC. Nothing to do with Trump. But per usual, the social media keyboardists always make it about Orange Man. And on the topic of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, April says, "Freedom Project Media, you are a dumbass. Not AOC, leave AOC alone." I'm just glad that April is there to defend AOC. But I think we should let Alex from the block speak for herself in true girl power fashion. Profound. Next, there were plenty of insults that included an assumption of my political party affiliation being Republican, of which I am not. But that doesn't stop anyone. Jalmari says, "Wow, this is original, a brainwashed Republican soccer mom spouting propaganda and racist Republican opinions. Honey, I know it's a pandemic, but you should really try to find somebody to do your hair and makeup." Joke's on you, Jalmari. Clearly, I'm not a soccer mom because I don't do my hair and makeup. And I'm not Nancy Pelosi, even though I do have my ice cream. Also, I'm in a baseball family. Thank you very much. And then they get nasty. Craig assumes, "Love it. Just a bunch of rape-publican dumbasses brown-nosing each other." Again, not a Republican, and certainly not a rape-publican. That's not even a word! Fun fact, that's actually my favorite episode from Friends. We're gonna do something really special to get more of these insults out of the way and into the trash where they belong. As a note, if any of you who got their insults on air, or for those of you who are writing new insults in the comments below right at this moment, please don't just say I should be put in the trash. That's lazy insulting, and I expect highbrow libel. If you must be scurrilous, do it properly. Now let's get to it.
The lightning round!
That's right, it's time for the lightning round. Started okay, watchable, then went off the rails. I give you 3 stars for the video. 3 stars, I'll take it, Simon. That's actually a compliment. Homely looking woman. I am too, but I'm at home. She's online. Psst, Kelly. Where did you just write that? Hint. Online. You are one of the biggest haters, hypocrite, so shut your face. Roland is for serious here, so you just look at those capital letters and umpteen exclamation points. Katie Patrick, are you a transvestite? Katie Patrick maybe, but I'm not. Ooh, burn! And let's start to wind down and get to my favorite of all the insults. The one, the only, Steve. And I need my ice cream for this one. If Katie is such a Trump supporter, she should act like one. So please get in the kitchen, cooking some dinner for man, and then when you're done, get on your knees and pleasure him how he wants you to, and then when you're done with that, go make a sandwich, and then clean the floor, and then when you're done, go sit in the corner, and we quietly, please stop expressing your opinion, because Trump women don't need to have opinions, they just need to cook and spread their legs. No. Steve clearly knows nothing about periods. The female kind or the punctuation. And for your information, Steve, I do make a damn good grilled cheese and tomato soup. But since you use some harsh words, no soup for you. Now that you may be feeling sorry for me, it's the perfect time to remind you of the Patriot Club, because it's people like Greg, who said he reported your fake news, that we need you to get that most beautiful, freedom-loving Tumblr by joining the Patriot Club at patriotclub.us. Because of the likes of Greg, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter continue to demonetize our videos, which means I'm eating oatmeal and beans for the 3rd consecutive week. Yay, fiber. I strongly encourage all of you to engage in a little self-deprecation. It will do good and give you perspective. Plus, you're no better than anyone else. Go out, be well, and join the Patriot Club for Pete's sake, if not for mine. Until next time, stay healthy, America.
Back now with Alex Newman, our international correspondent. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, dude. Great to be with you.
wrote another great story. Is Liberty University going woke? We know that Roman Catholic colleges aren't Roman Catholic colleges anymore. We know that many of our Protestant universities aren't really Protestant. They're not Bible-believing Christian institutions anymore. We know the faculty at the so-called Christian colleges and universities are anti-Christian. Now Liberty. What's going on with Liberty University? One of those universities you used to be able to count on for being somewhat biblically based, at least.
Yeah, Liberty University for years has been seen as kind of the last bastion of true Christian scholarship and academia. It's a huge university, I think the biggest evangelical university in the world. And now the Bible-believing Christian foundations of Liberty University are being eroded. It looks like with the ouster of Jerry Falwell Jr. for some, admittedly horrific sexual scandals, the forces of progressive wokeism are coming, and it looks like they have a very good shot at succeeding, and it's already bleeding into everything, it seems to.
Before we go further, talk a little bit briefly, recount for us the trouble that Jerry Falwell Jr. has gotten himself into.
Yeah, well, there were some sexual scandals. Apparently, he and his wife were having some sort of deal with the pool boy, and it became this big scandal. And so now Jerry Falwell Jr., the son of the founder, has been forced out of his position as president of the university. And his moral failings aside, he was seen as very pro-Trump, very conservative, and he kept the university in that general direction. And we've seen this movie before with multiple other institutions. In fact, most recently, we saw something similar happen with Paige Patterson over at the Southern Baptist Convention. He was in line to be the next president of the institution, the biggest, conservative, or actually the second biggest Christian denomination in the country after Catholicism, and certainly the biggest conservative evangelical denomination. And right before the election, they basically came out guns blazing for Paige Patterson on a scandal supposedly involving some advice he gave to a woman about her marriage. And they took him down, and right away the progressive wokeists took over, and now we're seeing a repeat of that at Liberty University with the fall of Falwell and the new people who are coming in who are vying for position. They seem to be a lot of progressive woke leftists.
So we understand perhaps why Falwell has got to step down. There have been some shooting himself in the foot morally kind of things. But what is it, where did this next layer, this next echelon of social justice warriors masquerading as Christians, where did that come from?
Well, they've been there all along. The conservatives and Christians have got to realize at this point, anytime they set up an institution that has any amount of influence, any amount of resources, any amount of voice in the culture, it becomes a primary target of leftists. And so we've seen institution after institution falling to the forces of leftism and progressivism and Marxism. Now, Liberty University was no exception. We would be incredibly naive to think that one of the most influential universities in the world, certainly one of the most prominent Christian universities in the world, would be immune from that. And so now you have people like Senior Vice President David Nasser, who just last week showed up at a Black Lives Matter protest and gives his commentary about this. So these people have been waiting in the wings, it seems like, just waiting for the perfect opportunity to drop the mask and make their true colors known. And I think they think that this is the right time. And you have some of the same people who've been involved in this. People like Pryor Swallow, this radical left-wing, pseudo-Christian who helped take down Paige Patterson and some of the Baptist seminaries, now is going on CNN and promoting this narrative that, there's too much conservatism and that means authoritarianism and racism, and so we've got to clean house and basically shake up the leadership of Liberty University. What they really want to do is hijack yet another Christian institution and use it for anti-Christian purposes.
Yeah, and they're off to a good start. I mean, you said it before. When are not just parents going to recognize this, but when are universities, Christian universities, going to realize that you can be as broad-minded as you want? You want a diverse faculty. You succumb to the pressure of the world. You want to bring non-Christians into your college to show how open-minded and ecumenical you are, how open to other ideas. And immediately that unchristian faculty becomes an anti-Christian faculty. And before you know it, they're hiring and replicating themselves to the degree that Christianity becomes a very expensive enemy on its own home court.
Yeah, and that's what we're seeing here with Liberty. I mean, it's a disgrace.
After the break, let's talk a little bit more broadly about the problem of not Christian universities. Back with Alex Newman to continue our conversation. So we recounted the woes that Liberty University is undergoing now. And I remember going back 5, 7, 10 years, it's not just the sexual scandals. It's the secularizing of the campus. There have been a lot of concerns from students about what Liberty was teaching and how they were teaching it. The relaxed moral code of living on campus at Liberty University. It's not surprising. My niece goes to Baylor University, which is arguably the preeminent Baptist college in the world. And there's all sorts of things there that are unrecognizably Christian going on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've reported these at the Newman Report at FreedomProject.com. Azusa Pacific University, which was ostensibly a Christian university. Now some of the Christians had to resign from the board. They said this has drifted so far from anything remotely resembling biblical foundations that it's just not tolerable anymore. We cannot be a part of this anymore. It happened, as we also reported recently at the Newman Report. It happened to Cru. The campus crusade for Christ now has been hijacked by progressive left-wing Marxists who are doing critical race theory and all the rest of it. And now at Liberty University, the symptoms have become too obvious to ignore. As we reported in our piece, you had the dean of the nursing school sending out this thing that all the students need to be reading, this racial justice book. The social justice wokeism is now coming out of the closet at Liberty. I'm sure it's been there for a very long time. We've talked about that before, kind of the underpinnings of it, but now it's really, really obvious. It's in your face. And, I think it's going to be a real turnoff for the Christian parents who are spending a lot of money to send their children to what they think or what they thought was going to be to get a proper Christian education.
Well, long ago, the anti-Christian socialists figured out, the atheist socialists figure out, they're not going to win the battle of ideas versus Christianity. When Christianity is rightly understood, its emphasis on the individual, on individual freedom, individual rights handed down by the Creator, that's not going to be something that socialism has historically been able to argue against. In fact, it's lost almost every time it tried. What the socialists are very good at, and increasingly getting better at, is co-opting Christianity, right? Making people believe, dull and uneducated and lazy people believe, that if Christ were alive today, he'd be wearing Che Guevara camo and he'd be storming the Bastille, storming the gates with a machine gun. The social justice, the secular, Marxist, progressive, collectivist, socialist, godless form of collectivism that we see in Marxist socialist cultures, that's what Jesus was. One simple glance at the Gospels, and Christ rejects every aspect of those worldly political ambitions.
That's right. And that's why I say Marxism is really the antithesis of Christianity on almost every point, right? It starts from the idea that we need to get rid of private property. Well, it was God who ordained private property. It was God who said, thou shalt not steal. It was God who said, if you don't work, you don't eat, right? It was God who said, thou shalt not covet. And Marxism, of course, is based on the idea of coveting your neighbor's stuff. Well, he's got a bigger house. He drives a nicer car. His job pays more. You should hate him, and we should steal all his stuff so we can redistribute it to the masses, right? Of course, Marx was an advocate of communal women, right? He didn't believe in monogamous one man, one woman marriage. He thought women should be held in common. On every point, Marx repudiated what the Bible teaches. And when you really dig into Marx, I think one of the most important books of the 20th century was Marx and Satan. It was written by a pastor who was tortured for 9 years in a communist Romanian gulag. And his thesis was that Marx must have been a Satanist. I just seeing the fruit of what came from this wicked, evil ideology. And it turns out there was a lot of evidence to support that, including Marx's own writings, where he talks about a deal that he made with Satan, where he talks about his desire to destroy and overthrow everything that God has created. So, I think really the idea that there is a such thing as Christian Marxism is beyond ludicrous. Marxism is essentially Satanism. It is opposed to everything that Christianity teaches. And so people trying to infect a Christian institution with Marxism, we need to recognize what they're doing. They're trying to destroy the essence of that institution and hijack it for evil purposes. That's what's happening at Liberty University. That's what's happened to so many universities before it. And if Christians don't stand up and say no more of this, the church in America is going to be decimated, as well as the nation as a whole.
Well, as we know, the long game is being played here. We have now an unrepentant socialist at the head of the Roman Catholic Church. That's about over 1 billion Roman Catholics now being led by a fever swamp South American liberation theology Marxist. You said we started the show by talking about what's happening to Liberty, one of the last great stalwarts of biblical education. So unless Christianity finds its way, here's the money quote. Stop apologizing for Christianity. We stopped evangelizing apologizing because we were guilty. Now we are not defending. We went from promoting Christianity for 2,000 years with great results to now not even willing to defend it. That's the game. Game's over for you if that's your attitude.
I'm back, and it's time now for some real education. His full name is Nobumichi Nobu Tamura, and he is an artist and a physicist with the Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory. Born in France and now living and working in California, his specialty is paleo art. Paleo art is any original artistic work that attempts to depict prehistoric life according to scientific evidence. His art is revolutionizing the way we picture dinosaurs.
Yeah, this guy is I mean, a little off the beaten track here, but he just does wonderful work. He is a serious artist in the sense, a paleo artist who is very concerned about getting it right about dinosaurs. And so it's a passion of his. So he does his job in the day, and he's very prolific. He cranks these things out. I guarantee, if you have little kids at home, particularly if you have little boys at home, and you want to dazzle them with dinosaurs. Kids love dinosaurs anyway, girls and boys. But if you want to dazzle them with depictions of dinosaurs that are going to captivate their imagination, that are going to set them on fire, that are going to make them just become students of something at a young age, simply because of the visual art they're seeing, this is your guy here. Take a look at some of these pictures. The imagery, they're very three-dimensional, and they're free. You can go to his website, which Mike will throw up there at the end of the segment here, and you can go to his website and look at this stuff for free. It is really beautiful. I mean, look at again, the three-dimensionality of the images, and just the unique way he has strived to break the former view of the uneducated, if we will, view of dinosaurs as reptilian, all green or brown, and really to underplay the scientific diversity, the evolutionary diversity, scientific diversity. You get not just dinosaurs, but creatures from the mammalian period as well, getting a sense of what they must have looked like. Take a look at the next one here. The ocean creatures, some of the creatures in the sea from this paleo art are especially breathtaking in the way they've been captured. I mean, you look at the crocodilian, and all based on skeletal and fossil evidence. Look at the crocodilian top half of him and the seal-like back half of him, and those almost fingered toes back there. Keep going a little bit. This one is particularly odd looking, right? You take a look at this image there. This is a late Triassic dinosaur, and was found in Utah. But man, the way the wings bend back, it's as if the wings, he could walk on four legs, it can fly. It's bizarre. I mean, when you think about the variety and we're talking, human beings have been around, depending upon who you ask, for a very short tick in human time. But the dinosaurs lived for about 150 million years. Imagine if human beings were around for 150 million years, the levels of diversity and change that you would see in human beings and human bodies. But we had 150 years of dinosaurs, and Tamura is one of those guys who gets it. He is giving you these images. And go to the last collective image here. This will give you a sense of the crazy creatures that we see, that he has reconstructed as accurately and as faithfully as we can. I urge you to go to his website. And a little quote from him while you're watching this collection here. He said, "I was interested in dinosaurs and other prehistoric creatures since my childhood," he told the magazine Inverse. "When Wikipedia started getting big, Tamura naturally started browsing the dinosaur pages. They were devoid of illustrations. Maybe I can do something about that," he said. Tamura started drawing the creatures and submitting the pencil illustrations to Wikipedia. Quote, "The first drawings were not really successful because I just drew from the dinosaurs like I saw them when I was a kid," he said. "They weren't accurate. They were imprecise enough that his early drawings were rejected by Wikipedia editors and removed from the site. To date, Tamura has illustrated 1,500 dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals. That's an impressive rate of one drawing every other day. He estimates that each one takes 3 to 4 hours on average, and most are available on his website. Michael flashed that for you, where they are licensed under Creative Commons. This is a perfect thing for a child. These images to get them those creative learning juices absolutely flowing. And I must say, if I had these kind of dinosaurs to look at when I was a kid, I might have become a paleo artist.
He probably wouldn't have. Anyways, as always, if you're a fan of the show, please consider a one-time tax-deductible donation of $99 toward our Patriot Club. And as a thank you, we'll ship you this impressive stainless steel tumbler etched with the words, "Freedom never tasted so good." So visit patriotclub.us, that's patriotclub.us, and you will help keep this show going. Now we're going to wrap things up with the fun fact of the day. Ice cream actually was made with ice until milk was introduced in the 10th century. Industrial production of ice cream began in 1851 in Boston, and now America, unshockingly, is the largest consumer of ice cream, with an average person eating 48 pints per year.
And notice when they call us the largest consumers, that can be taken both ways. And that's going to do it for this show. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and until next time, stay educated, my friends.